one of our long-term supporters is LifeStreet Media. The CEO, Mitchell Weisman, is here, so I'm going to ask Mitchell to come on up. We're going to do a quick little fireside chat. We're going to share a little bit about what LifeStreet does, but they've been a big supporter of AppNation from the very beginning, so I want to thank Mitchell for that. So why don't we'll grab a little seat here. There's all this activity right now in terms of this growth in mobile, and we were just talking about how do you feel? You've gone through astonishing growth, but how do you feel today? I mean, as you look at 2014 coming up, I mean, is it accelerating? Is it where you thought you'd be today a year ago? Just what do you feel this morning?
Hey, Drew, I feel fantastic today, and today of all days. So we just got through Black Friday,
right?
Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
I'm really fired up for Mobile Thursday. Mark this on your calendars, by the way. The day after Christmas this year is a Thursday, and what we've seen over the first several years of mobile, and I'm certain we're going to see it again, is a very special time of year when people are out there buying their devices. This holiday season, we see an uptick every single year. It starts on Black Friday. It continues through Cyber Monday and through the holiday season, but especially Mobile Thursday, December 26th and onward.
Yeah.
Because what's the first thing that you do when you open up your new iPad or you open up your new iPhone or Android device?
Get those apps.
You're going to go grab apps, and every single year we see a new special growth, almost a new plateau that happens this time of year. By the way, it happens to be my birthday as well.
Is that right? Yeah. Really happy birthday. But that's got to be tough. You only get one set of gifts.
I know, it's brutal.
All right. So tell us a little about you, and for those of people who don't know what LifeStreet is, let them know.
Yeah, no, I mean, LifeStreet is an app developer's best friend. So if you are an app developer and you are looking to get your app out there, well, we're your best friend. We have driven over 350 million app installs over time, and that's only growing. On the flip side, if you are one of those app developers who makes part of your living by having advertisements in your app, well, we're your best friend as well. So we've paid out over $175 million now to individual app developers. As well, we recently launched our mobile RTB platform and have come out. We're one of the largest programmatic buyers of in-app advertising, which is a direct benefit to app developers who are out there seeking distribution on the one hand, and again, app developers who are in the business of making money with their advertising.
And we're going to get into RTB in just a second. In terms of the app installs, is that something you're seeing accelerating growth? We heard from Simon earlier, but as far as sort of the app installs, where are we in terms? We know we're at a hockey stick,
yeah.
But is the grade steepening, or how do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like we're on. It's an accelerating sine wave. It's going sort of up and down, but seasonally, and the trend is very much up. I think that again, the holiday season is just so important, and the months immediately afterwards are when we see the growth to the next level, and to the next plateau.
Yeah.
As well as we're seeing these lower price points on devices. This is causing much more adoption, especially in these emerging economies and markets.
Right.
So we're starting to see just a whole lot of growth globally. I think Simon said that he suggests next year this will be App World,
Yeah, right.
as opposed to AppNation.
Well, we think maybe we'll do App Universe. I think there might be another show out there, App World, but maybe we'll do App Universe or something like App Galaxy.
Yeah.
So RTB, there's a lot of discussion. What is RTB? Real-time bidding, exchanges. For those people out there, we're in the ad business, so we know a little bit about what RTB is.
Sure.
Explain to them what RTB is, and then how does that benefit an app user?
Sure.
Or an app developer in terms of monetization?
Sure. So RTB stands for real-time bidding. This is for the first time an opportunity for advertisers to bid on and win individual impressions to target members of an audience. So it used to be in advertising that it was all about what we call content adjacency. So you would have a television show or a radio program or a magazine, Sports Illustrated, and that content would have a certain demographic. and you would be, as an advertiser, looking for reach and frequency against this targeted demographics. And you would proxy that by saying, oh, I like by content adjacency. I like the demographics of Sports Illustrated, and so I want my advertisement to be adjacent to this content as a proxy to be in front of a certain demographic of audience. Now, with real-time bidding, this fundamentally changes. You no longer, as an advertiser, have to bid specifically on content. It's not just targeting Sports Illustrated, but rather, if I know, hey, Drew is a guy who has bought an airline ticket, recently, or is in the market for an airline ticket, I want to target Drew. I want to buy individual ads, regardless of the content, to be right in front of Drew during this important time when he's considering, his ticket to New York City. So, real-time bidding allows for an exchange, a marketplace, where advertisers, through technology, are able to bid for individual impressions to individual members of an audience that are important and impactful in a way that has never been possible before. Now, this is a thing that's been a long time in coming. People have been talking about it for really a decade and a half, but it's happening. So, 2011 in the U.S., RTV was about $900 million. 2012, it roughly doubled to about $1.8 billion. 2013, eMarketer says that this is going to grow by another 75%. This is in the U.S. alone, to close to $4 billion in the U.S. alone.
It's a huge trend, and if I'm an app developer, how do I tap into these exchanges and be able to monetize and get all these people who are the buyers who are taking advantage of our TV?
So if you are an app developer, you want to partner with folks who can bring this real-time bidding demand and the direct or proprietary demand that comes from content adjacency and other broad reach direct marketing offers. So you want to look for partners who offer all of that sort of demand, and in particular, if you're an app developer, you should consider having a mediator, or building your own mediator, or adopting one of the great mediators that are out there. MoPub is an example that was just acquired by Twitter. That allows you, as the owner of the app, as the landlord of the ad space, if you will, to be very thoughtful and experiment and say, I'm going to have real-time bidding demand coming in, I'm going to experiment with certain ad network demand. And the point is, there's value in the blend. For as much momentum as RTV has, it still represents a minority of the ad dollars. So it's just important to be able to take control of your ad inventory through mediation technology and to experiment regularly.
Does that require an app developer to do a better job of creating their own sort of systems to understand who their users are, so they can offer this targeted inventory back into the exchanges? What can an app developer do to be able to provide much more sort of contextual inventory that goes into the exchanges? Anything that they can do to create better targeted inventory through analytics?
So what's wonderful about mediation and ad networks and the emergence of RTV is that for an app developer who's looking to make money with their ad space, the industry is taking a lot of that work on for the app developer. So the app developer can really focus on two things. The app developer can focus first and foremost on building great apps and finding distribution and amassing an audience, right, which is the single most important thing on the one hand. And then on the advertising side, to simply focus on having access to multiple sources of demand and to experiment regularly. What does that mean? If you're an app developer, you should have a mediator, you should have an ad server, and don't settle in with just fire and forget. Experiment with having your first impression go to vendor number one and your second impression go to vendor number two, which becomes very easy if you have an ad server or a mediation layer.
Right. And we didn't talk too much about this before, but just in terms of RTV versus other forms of, how much should I focus on RTV versus still being able to offer directly other great forms of sort of advertising inventory? How much will the trend shift towards RTV, and how consumed should I be with it as an app developer to try to monetize? How do I balance it with my other inventory?
So I think it really depends which kind of app developer you are or which hat you're wearing at the moment. So if on the one hand you are thinking with your monetization hat, the key insight is you should have a mediation layer so that you can control which ad vendors are serving ads into your app, and you can measure their monetization against one another, and just simply make sure that you have access to RTB demand and other demand and the direct demand. On the flip side, if you're wearing your distribution hat, if you're an app developer who seeks to buy advertising to grow your audience, well here you better be thinking more strategically about RTB. You better make sure that you are partnered with folks who are helping you to take your precious advertising dollars and capital to deploy them intelligently across these various exchanges, right? Across Smato and Mopub and Google and all of these guys. And so you want to partner up with folks who have expertise in deploying financial capital across these exchanges through programmatic buying. And if you're not yet partnered up or deploying capital, advertising dollars in that way, you are missing out. This is a significant amount of inventory that's being sold this way now.
I kind of want to close with something that you talked about at our New York show earlier this spring, which I thought was great, and this sort of liquid advertising marketplace. And talk to the audience about what is the liquid advertising marketplace, and how can they take advantage of that in terms of taking that conceptually and taking that into the real world.
Sure. So what do we mean by liquid marketplaces, right? So when a marketplace becomes liquid, it becomes standardized, and all of a sudden a whole lot of more transacting can happen, right? So for a classic example is the stock exchange, the New York Stock Exchange. There was a day before the 1700s when we didn't yet have a stock exchange, and if you wanted to buy a piece of a company, there was no such thing as a share of stock that you could go onto an exchange and say, hey, I want to buy a share of this company, or whatever it is. Along come the exchanges, and what did they do? They standardized the product, so we're going to have shares of stock. They standardized the transaction process. There's going to be a bid and an ask and a spread. They standardized the settlement process. So once a transaction happens, here's how it's going to be cleared and settled. And once those things all happen and enough buyers and enough sellers show up at the exchange, magic happens, right? And so fast forward today, there's $17 trillion worth of market cap on the New York Stock Exchange. Well, the world's $500 billion advertising industry is just primed for this very same dynamic to happen. Folks have been talking about it for years. But again, the vast majority of those ad dollars are transacted through sales forces and negotiating line items and all the rest of it. But with the emergence of RTB, of real-time bidding, suddenly those same things have happened. The product has been standardized. The transaction process has been standardized. The settlement process has been standardized. There are now exchanges. There are critical mass of buyers and of sellers, and all of a sudden, magic is happening. So we're seeing, probably worldwide $5 or $6 billion, which is small in the scheme of things, but growing at 70 to 100% a year. This is coming in a big way.
Well, briefly, 2014 is the year of what for LifeStreet and for you, and as you look at this incredible growth.
So 2014 is the year of cross-channel availability of our RevJet platform. So we set out to build our company with a single mission in mind, and that was to make display ads work better. And in order to make display ads work better, you simply have to be testing all the time. You cannot know what's going to perform better on a display ad, whether it should be a black background or a green background, or whether a button on an ad should say click or click here or next or click down. You have to be experimenting. We've built this fabulous technology stack, and we've been making it available progressively through more and more platforms and more channels, and that process is accelerating into 2014. As I mentioned, we announced RevJet, the RevJet programmatic buying and real-time bidding platform just in the last 4 weeks. So suddenly, advertisers and publishers who are transacting through real-time bidding can get the same benefits as those who've been transacting in the regular way from LifeStreet's RevJet technology. So this is exciting.
2014 is the year of RTB. Right?
There you go.
All right, everybody. Mitchell Weisman from LifeStreet Media.
Thank you.
Thank you.
LifeStreet.